I've always known my whole life that I wanted to act. Forever, like for as long as I can remember. That's always what I've wanted to do. I properly grieved Orkney then. I didn't grieve it when I moved, but when my mum and my stepdad moved, I really grieved it, and I did not expect that at all.
Hey, I'm Katie J, and welcome to Young Scot's podcast. This is How I Feel. This podcast is all about having open and honest conversations focused on emotional well-being. And today we are really looking forward to talking to Maddie all about the challenges of growing up in an island community and creating amazing content online. Now, you might know Maddie from her beauty content because she's got over 1 million followers across her online platforms, which is incredible. So can we get into it, Maddie? Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very good. I'm so excited to be here. How are you?
Thank you for asking. I'm good. Yeah.
Good.
We're having fun today. I think it's nice to be in a room chatting to so many amazing people. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be good. What we're going to do first of all, though, Maddie, is play a little bit of an icebreaker game.
Okay.
Just to sort of get to know you better.
Yep.
So don't panic. It's like a quick fire this or that situation.
Okay.
Okay? So we're going to do it makeup specific this time around.
That should be okay then.
So yeah, just tell me what one speaks to you, what you prefer.
Okay.
Okay. Feather brows or bleached brows?
Feathered, 100%.
How do we feel about bleached?
I like it on some people.
Yeah.
But myself, I don't know if it's like the gingery hair. It just doesn't work.
It's not going to be a thing.
We avoid that one. Yeah, but we love the feathered bushy brows.
I know, I've gotten so much work to give myself brows. I can't take them away now. Like, don't go back to the white blonde. No. Foundation or concealer?
Concealer. Yeah.
I'm with you. Lipstick or gloss?
Gloss.
Yeah?
I'm a gloss gal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Even with the long hair? Yep.
Yes.
That thing.
It's easier when the hair is slicked back, don't get me wrong, but I would pick a gloss. As long as I have a lip liner with it. Lip liner and gloss.
I don't know if that's allowed. Yeah, okay. It's fine.
Okay.
Winged liner or a smoky eye?
Wing liner, always.
Always?
Yeah, gotta have a wing.
Perfect. Brushes or sponges?
Oh, I think probably brushes, because how are you going to do your eyeshadow with a sponge? I feel like that would be a bit tricky.
So fair.
Yeah.
So
I think it has to be brushes.
Okay.
But I do love a sponge. Yeah, brushes.
Well, thank goodness we don't really have to make these decisions because it would be tough out there.
Yeah, no, I would.
We need options
It
in
would
our
be
lives.
challenges every day. Doing eyeshadow with a sponge. No.
Yeah, I nailed it. Imagine like painting a sponge and having to just one tap.
I did that once actually for a challenge. I did my whole face with a sponge and I tried to do like eyeliner.
With a sponge?
It was not it.
Creative queen. I could never.
I couldn't do it. I'm not doing it again.
Well, thank you for playing our Daft Wee game to get us going.
No, that was fun.
I appreciate it. But yeah, let's get stuck into today's ep. You have been quite busy, haven't you? That's a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, life has been busy, but really fun. Like, I wouldn't change it. I'm that sort of person. I love being busy and going here, there and everywhere and doing different things every day. Like, I need to be doing different things all the time because I get bored very quickly. Yeah. So I love it. It's busy and it's tiring, but I wouldn't change it.
And like a lot of time spent, well, quite literally traveling and on the road and kind of moving around. But do you think that's where you flourish then?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I actually love traveling as well. Like, I love traveling by myself and just editing, putting my headphones on, doing emails. Like, it's just like peace and time to catch up on stuff. So I really enjoy it. I say that now. Maybe in a couple of years' time I'll be like, oh,
yeah, get me off this train.
Yeah, exactly. But right now I like it.
Yeah, but I mean, kind of talk us through the last few months. Where have you been? Because I feel like it's very infrequent for you to be in one place at one time for any length of time. So tell us all about your kind of journey.
Well, I stay in Edinburgh, which is great because it's such a great like base because you can get so many places really easily. I would say I'm in Glasgow at least twice a week.
Really?
For work-related like events or just work-related bits and bobs. I go to London every few weeks and then I go to Manchester a little bit less than London, but I'm in London and Manchester this week and then I'm down in Devon a lot because my mum and my stepdad and my dogs, specifically the dogs, live in Devon. So I go there a lot as well. And then I've been to France in the last couple months with my photographer. So that was really exciting. And yeah, just kind of all around the UK for work. But I love it. Like,
booked and busy and barely home.
Yes. I don't think I've spent more than like 4 days in Edinburgh at a time without going somewhere on a train.
Wow.
Yeah.
And most of these things are for work opportunities then, are they?
Yeah, mostly. I do videos with like BBC as well. Yeah. So I'm often kind of jumping around Scotland. I was in Stirling last week filming with them. Was in Falkirk a few months ago. So yeah, I get to see different places in Scotland as well, which is really nice. Like I would never go into like the Kelpies, but because of work I get to go and see different things. So it's really
cool.
Nice. Yeah,
amazing. I mean, we've spoken there about like a literal journey that you're on every week, kind of going from place to place. But do you mind kind of taking us back to how it all started and how you kind of, you know, how these amazing opportunities have come your way with your content?
Yeah, so I started posting content when I was living in the Orkney Islands. So that's where I'm from. And I started right at the beginning of lockdown. I feel like so many people did. You're like in your house, you're like, oh, what do I do? TikTok, that's what I'm going to do.
Sure.
And I was really, really lucky. I got like my first viral video within like the first couple of weeks. Wow. And it just kind of kicked off from there. I think I woke up, I posted the video, I woke up the next day and I had like 12,000 followers on TikTok. I was like, I am famous.
But that's so
from one
surreal.
Video. It was crazy. Like, yeah, to me, that is an insane number. But especially at that point, like, again, living on Orkney, and I was like, this is crazy. This is absolute madness. And then over the next year, I signed with agency and started working with brands. My following grew. I was being featured in newspapers in Scotland, and my local newspaper was on my local radio a few times, and that's how I ended up sort of being scouted by BBC The Social, which was really, really exciting. And then with them I started making content about Orkney, and it just grew and grew and grew. And then I decided to move to Edinburgh to go to drama school. So then I went to Edinburgh, but all started in Orkney, in my bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the kind of comprehension of like 12,000 people, there's no, I mean, that's more people than you probably ever seen growing up in a rural town like that.
Literally.
It's amazing.
Literally. It was mad. I don't know why it just seemed more crazy getting that sort of following online and living in such a small place.
Yeah.
And the word spread really quickly as well. But I feel like if it wasn't for lockdown, I probably wouldn't have started posting.
Yeah.
Just because living in a small place, you can't really go anywhere without seeing people you know. And I was always a bit like, I would quite like to post online, but I'm nervous, you know, what are people going to say? And lockdown gave me that reason to be like, well, I'm not going to see anyone because we're not going to Tesco, we're not going to the pubs, so I'm going to do it.
So everyone was obviously, it was such a bizarre and you know, terrible time for a lot of people, but you know, we were kind of left to our own devices, and people were looking for that online, that connection, but it wasn't that someone's going to see you on the street and go, hey, you posted that daft video, didn't you? And you're going, oh.
Exactly. And I wasn't ready to kind of face that yet.
Yeah.
By the time we came out of lockdown, I had already built probably a few 100,000 followers.
Yeah, so it was legit in your eyes as well.
Yeah, it was a proper kind of business and job at that point. I'd signed with an agency. I'd worked with quite a few big brands at that point. So I was like, people aren't going to judge me now. It'll be fine.
So could you kind of pass the potentially awkward stage?
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone feels like that when they start posting online, until it becomes something that is more of a job and you're getting some engagement from it. It does feel a little bit like, oh, It's really, it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
It's nerve-wracking. And I feel like being in a small community just
Amplifies,
amplified it, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, when you did wake up and see those numbers, like, I don't want to call it like an accident that it happened, because obviously like your discipline and your talent and everything just shines through, and that's why you've made such a success, which is just wonderful and not a mistake, you know. But in that moment, did you think, that's it, that's one video of I've gone viral, brilliant? Or was it just a conscious decision to like, let's use this as ammo, let's push it further?
Yeah, definitely. I'd been watching social media and influencers for years. Like I was that proper 2016 YouTube lover, you know.
The Brit crew.
Yeah, literally. I was obsessed with YouTube.
Yeah.
So as soon as I started seeing those numbers coming through, I was like, I have seen the opportunities that this world brings. You know, I've seen it to other people. So I'm going to go for it and give it my best shot. And yeah, it was a really like lovely response as well to that first viral video. So it didn't sort of scare me off, if that makes sense. Yeah. It was quite a nice warm response. So I was like, let's do it. Let's do it.
And did you feel like being in quite a rural community growing up and, you know, kind of absorbing yourself in that online world, was that a real comfort to you growing up then, watching other people doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, I think so, because you do sort of, Orkney is, it's a lovely place, of course, but you run out of people. So definitely to be able to escape into the online world was really nice. Yeah. And I'm I'm a huge movie and TV lover, always have been. So that would always be such a big escape for me as well. And I would say online and watching influencers, it's a similar sort of thing. You get to just dive into their world and see what makeup they're putting on their face. It's great.
I do feel I'm definitely I put YouTube on like when I'm getting ready and stuff like that, when I'm doing my makeup. Yeah. And it feels just like that, replicating that vibe when all your girls are around and you're all just having a chit chat, because it's just like you're sitting with a friend. It's
comforting. I'm that sort of person. I need there to be noise. Yeah. I can't deal with it when it's quiet. And I'm not really, I love music, but I'd much rather have a YouTube video or a movie on and people talking in the background versus singing. So I've always got YouTube on.
That's your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you are that person for other people.
It's weird.
How does that sit with you? Like, is that quite a surreal one?
Yeah, it is. I feel like I've been doing it now for, what year are we in?
Yeah, like 4 or 5.
Coming up to 5 years. Yeah. So, and it's been like a really gradual process, I would say. So it's not, you know how some people, they'll blow up and literally gain millions of followers within a few weeks. So it's not been that. It's been quite a gradual process, which has been nice. And I think just through watching influencers for so many years beforehand, it kind of, you had that sort of like guide, if you will. And it is weird to think now that that's my job and I get to work with amazing brands that I've used for years. It's really surreal, like even getting gifted products. I'm in tears multiple times a week when I get certain like brands send me stuff, and I'm on the phone to my mom like crying, and she's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because it's just such like it's crazy. Yeah. It's really crazy.
Well, like it's a privilege, but also there's a huge amount of work that you've put in to get there. And, you know, you have been grafting. Let's not get it twisted. You know, you're producing content all the time, you know, traveling around the country, you know, making this work and kind of, I suppose, yes, there is a bit of a playbook now. You can see people that you admire kind of doing it, but it does feel like everyone's kind of path is so different, right? Because it's got to be you. It's you that you're the product in it to a certain extent.
Definitely. And I think there's been more challenging times. So during the lockdown, it was much easier because I could just put all my time into creating content. When I then went to drama school and that was full time, and I was doing full time influencing on the side as well, that was quite a lot. now I do my acting. So at the moment I have a performing job that I do along with the social media and the BBC as well. And I'm constantly, like you say, grafting in the acting world and going to auditions and sending self-tapes and all of that along with grafting with the social media. And it's just, I feel like both of those worlds just kind of never stop. You can't really clock out of either of them. So it's a lot, and I'm quite bad at switching off. So even last night I was still working at like 10:30 in bed. So
I'm going to be like your mum here and be like, no, come on.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
I know. I'm really like, I'm
so hard.
Bad for it. But it's tricky because you can't really clock out of it. So it's just there all the time.
No, I totally get you. I mean, I feel like that all the time. Everything's content. And it's trying to explain that everything is content. But then also going, no, but I'm not, like, drawing the line yourself of where you kind of set those boundaries is really, really tough, because you could be chilling out, relaxing, watching the TV and then go, there it is. That's content. I need to go and do that right away.
Yeah.
But make sure that you're kind of setting time aside to protect yourself and give yourself grace, as well as a tricky balance.
Definitely. The place for me where I can fully switch off is the cinema. So I go to the cinema like once a week, and that is just where I can switch off. So that's my like favourite place.
Your kind of oasis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally.
But are you watching cam things, or are you watching horror or something?
I did go and see Smile 2 the other day.
I knew you were going to say this.
Yeah, which was really good.
Yeah?
I loved it, but I was screaming in the cinema. My boyfriend was there like, she is so embarrassing. Can we leave?
I'm so into it, okay? This is my moment of escapism.
This is my escapism, exactly. Tango Ice Blast.
Yeah.
Bag of chocolate buttons. I'm happy.
So that's like your self-care ritual then?
It is.
Love that.
Yeah,
so much.
I'd much rather do that than have a bath.
I mean, so you could do both. I was like, no, you really can't take a bath in the cinema. That would be so bizarre.
That'll probably be a thing in a few years.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't. Like ice baths or something, that'll be terrible.
Yeah. Oh no, that's not for me. Definitely not.
We've spoken a little bit there, and I'd love to kind of hear more about your acting and your kind of career there. I mean, there's so much to get into, really, truly. But it was the performing arts element that took you out of Orkney and to Edinburgh, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah? So talk me through that process of kind of packing up and moving and starting on the kind of the next dream and the next adventure, which was your kind of performance career.
Yeah. So I've always known my whole life that I wanted to act.
Yeah.
Forever, like for as long as I can remember. That's always what I've wanted to do. And social media, I still love that, absolutely. But the goal is acting. That's always been the goal. So I've known since a very young age that I couldn't stay on Orkney just because I couldn't pursue my dream career on the island. So I think my whole life I was just waiting for that time to come. I always knew it was going to come, and I always knew I was going to have to leave. Saying that, it was quite a big cultural shock, because Edinburgh and Orkney are worlds apart. Yeah. Only an hour apart on the plane, but in terms of living there, totally different. But I would say now I don't think I could go back to living on Orkney, just because I'm so used to being able to go to different places, and just with work, with social media, with BBC, with acting, being on the mainland.
Well, you're commutable. Right?
Exactly.
Crucially, you can get places easier.
Exactly.
As well.
And being on Orkney, even just to get a flight to the mainland, it's so expensive.
Sure. Yeah.
It's so expensive. And I started, when I lived on Orkney and I started doing social media, I was being invited to all of these events, but I just couldn't go to any of them because it was going to cost me $1,000 to get to London and back and stay the night.
Love a free dinner, but not that much.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'll take a free champagne, but that's not going to cut it. So it was a big shock, very, very different. And now my mum and my stepdad have moved as well from Orkney down to Devon whilst I was in drama school. Sure. So they went from the top of the country right to the bottom, which was a whole other thing. And so I don't have much reason now to go back home to Orkney. Yeah, but I do miss it. There's little things that I miss. It's a very easy way of life, just in terms of
pace.
Yeah, it's slow paced. It's much easier to drive.
Sure.
I mean, there's no traffic lights. The roundabouts have like one little lane. There's no lanes in the roads.
Yeah,
Like,
that would suit me down to the ground because I'm really anxious driving in Glasgow.
yeah.
Really
I'm not
anxious.
surprised
Yeah.
because it's all squares as well.
Yeah.
It all looks the same.
The clutch control required, ridiculous.
No. See, clutch control, that's what would send me panicking in case I stalled. No, see, I could not. I don't think I could. If I was to drive now in Edinburgh, I would need to take lessons again because I would have no idea what I was doing.
Completely different environment. Yeah.
So different. Orkney does have the best food as well. I miss that.
Oh, yeah?
It has the best food. Oh, I lie in bed thinking about the food. Oh my God.
You know, we talk quite openly about, you know, potentially big changes when you're like a really young person. You know, for example, maybe you move or maybe parents have separated and you've got kind of two homes on the go or you're trying to figure things out. People don't give as much credit to big changes happening when you are an adult because you're an adult, right? You should be able to get on with it. Okay. No, there seems like there's been a lot of quite real shifts in your life.
Yeah.
As a young adult trying to figure it out, you know, moving to Edinburgh, coming to terms with a massive following that you've grown and worked really hard on, starting, you know, your career as a performer, family moving. You must feel quite rootless at times, just thinking, you know, I don't really know where I'm laying my head tonight. You know, where do I belong?
Absolutely. Especially when I was still at drama school and my mum and my stepdad moved down to Devon. I was like, I don't know where's my home is.
Yeah.
Like, it was such a, and it made me, it brought back, you know, anxieties and stuff for me. Because I was like, I know I can always go to my mum, but
of course
I was like, oh, I don't know.
What does my bedroom look like?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And now that I've got a more kind of permanent, semi-permanent performing job in Edinburgh and I've got like my own flat, I feel like I've got more of a base, which is nice. And I was seeking that for a few years. So I was in student accommodation and it was very like, you're absolutely right. I just didn't feel like I had a base anywhere and a home. And that was hard. It was,
all that comfort and stability that you associate with Orkney, you know, and that kind of, you know, that slow pace and security and all that. Everything changed
absolutely
quite quickly. Yeah.
And I found when I moved to Edinburgh for drama school and my mum was still in Orkney, I was quite okay. Like, it was still, like I said, a really big difference and a lot to get used to being in a city. But I knew that I had my home and my bedroom, you know, in Orkney, and I had that to go to. But when they moved, I properly like grieved Orkney. Then I didn't grieve it when I moved, but when my mum and my stepdad moved, I really grieved it, and I did not expect that at all because by that point I was really ready to leave the island. I was so ready to pursue my acting and start to be able to go to events and commute around the country.
Live.
Yeah, exactly, and take up all these amazing opportunities that you're offered on the mainland. But I really grieved Orkney. It was weird. I did not expect to have that reaction. I was like, I would be like crying about like random lanes and stuff. Like, it was the weirdest thing. I'm fine now, but
it's a big adjustment. I do think that that's kind of the point. Like, people give young people so much grace for, like, you know, big changes or whatever. You get to a certain point, and I don't know where the cutoff is, where it's like, but you're an adult, you'll be able to get on with that. But it's a huge change, and that's your childhood.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Exactly. Like, a lot of memories, and I was saying this to my boyfriend recently, actually. I feel like in Orkney, because you don't have a lot there. You know, you don't have like McDonald's, you don't have all of these shops. You've got one Tesco. You weirdly become really attached to things. Yeah. So like, I'm still quite attached to the Orkney Tesco. I go in like the Tesco that's near me in Edinburgh and I'm like, I just don't like this.
It's not the same.
It's all really random. There's no organisation. I don't like it. That's when I miss Orkney Tesco. It's weird. And my mum feels the same way. Oh. You get attached to random things because that's all you have.
Yeah.
You don't have 10 options.
Things
just
like
have one.
have kind of accrued more meaning because you associate it with like home and sentimental weight on a meal deal is quite something.
Yeah. It's really bizarre. It's hard to explain to people that I suppose maybe don't come from a small community or an island, but I feel like people that do get it. You become more attached to the things that you have because you don't have much.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. It really does make sense.
Yeah.
So big adjustments over the last wee while. Do you think it helps you that you're given kind of the career path you're on, you are always moving? Does that help with your kind of sense of, I don't know, like motivation that you're constantly on the go? Is that a powerful thing for you, a positive thing?
Yeah, I definitely feel more motivated when I'm doing more and I'm on the go.
Yeah.
I think as well, just because I didn't have that for so long in Orkney, I just embrace it now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can go to London for something, I can go to Glasgow for something amazing, I want to do it, and just take all the opportunities. Because for the first year or so of doing social media, I couldn't take those opportunities. Yeah. So now I'm like, give them. I want to do them all. As long as it's not like ridiculous train prices, I'll go.
For sure. Or else you'll be getting an invoice for that. Yeah. But I mean, it sounds like you are very booked and busy. How do you kind of make time to, obviously the cinema trips are crucial here. I know, but like to stop yourself maybe potentially being overwhelmed by that, because although this is kind of living the dream, right? This is what you as a kid was thinking, yes, I'm going to go. I'm going to be on the mainland and I'm going to say yes to every opportunity and it's going to be go, go, go. Yeah. Are there moments where you feel like you need to kind of take stock, and how do you deal with the potential anxiety that might cause?
Yeah, I think a big thing for me is I have an amazing support system around me. So like my mom especially, even though she's down in Devon and I maybe, I see her like once a month maybe, I'm on the phone to her like 10 times a day. Yes. And she knows just by looking at me if I'm pushing myself too much and if I need to just take a few hours or take the evening, and she's good at seeing that within me and being like, just stop, like you're gonna make yourself ill. Yeah. So I'm really lucky that I have her and she knows me so well, because if it wasn't for her, a lot of the time I would just keep going and then end up
at capacity, totally
shattered, totally. Like completely out of it. Same with my boyfriend as well. Like I live with my boyfriend and he's so great and very similar to my mom actually. So I don't know, like in terms of just like the advice and stuff, sometimes I'm listening to him and I'm like, I feel like I'm talking to my mom. This is really weird. But it's good for me because I need to...
like a grounding presence.
Yeah, I need that sometimes to just be like, stop. Yeah. Calm down. This is ridiculous.
I think as well, I mean, obviously it's wonderful that you've got people out there who are kind of protecting you and looking out for you. Because I don't know how you feel about this, but I think a lot of the time some of these opportunities all feel almost too good to be true, and you're having these pinch me moments and going, wow, I can't believe this opportunity's come my way. It must be quite hard to say no, or to like even give leeway for I need a beat and then I'll come back. That must be quite a challenge sometimes when it feels so I must say yes to this. But
it's hard to work out sometimes, like when there's events down in London, what is definitely worth the trip, because it's like, well, it's a meal with a brand and other influencers, but I don't, like, someone might be there that I start networking with and that might lead to a job opportunity. But then so if I don't go, I might miss out on that, but I might go and not speak to anybody. And then I've spent 9 hours on the train for what? So that's quite hard to work out whether it's worth going or not. Mm-hmm. So again, I have a lot of conversations with my mom and I'm like, is this worth it? I don't know.
Pros and cons list comes out.
Literally I have to do a pros and cons list. So that can be a little bit tricky, and definitely at those times I'm like, I wish I was nearer London because it would be easier to just go to the events. So being in Edinburgh, as amazing as it is, and I love Edinburgh so much and it's so easy to commute to Glasgow, it does make it a little bit tricky. Yeah. Because so many social media events are in London. I would say 90% of stuff is in London.
Yeah.
It is getting better now in Scotland. I feel like it's so important because the influencer community here is growing so much.
Well, this is what I was going to say, because, you know, yourself and quite a few others really kind of putting Scotland on the map there and doing something about it, which is amazing for young people to see themselves reflected back. Yeah. And, you know, something as simple as just having an accent that sounds like theirs. Yeah. It's quite a powerful tool. When you were growing up, there many Scottish influencers that you were watching?
Jamie Genevieve. That was it.
Yeah.
And I love her.
Oh, obsessed.
Like, obsessed with her. She's great. But that was it. Like, I can't think of any other Scottish influencer that I watched growing up that was on YouTube at the time.
And now you can kind of rhyme them off.
Now there's,
and that's
like,
amazing.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so nice. And that's such a big thing for me now, as I've gained a bigger following and as I've like been working with BBC and trying to get involved with more kids TV and doing my acting. I really want to be that person for people in smaller communities and island communities to see and be like, wow, like she's got from Orkney, a tiny little island in the middle of the North Sea, and she's now doing these amazing things and she's following her dreams and she's successful in her field. Because I never had that growing up. Living on Orkney, I would, you know, I'd be a young girl and I'd have these dreams like, I want to go to the Oscars, I want to be in movies, like I want to do all these amazing things, but how do I get there? Yeah. It seems so far out of reach. Because I think when you're growing up in London or a big city, there's loads of people from those places that have gone on and been successful in the entertaining world. But for me, there was no one like that. Like nobody from the Scottish Islands or Highlands had, you know, are going off and doing those things. So I really want to now, it's really important for me to be that person for not just young people to see, but anyone to see in small communities and island communities, to be like, well, there is a living proof and an example that you can achieve whatever you want. Not even in, you know, not saying that if you want to be an actor, but even if you want to be like a brain surgeon, if you want to start a business or you want to go off and do something a little bit different, you can. Like, you absolutely can.
Do you think that the kind of social media stuff and the acting complement each other quite nicely though in your life? Because I feel like maybe people, you're right, one comes with the other or one comes before the other or whatever, but you're managing to find a rhythm where you can do both, which is really impressive. Yeah.
I definitely think that there is crossover in the industries for sure. I know a lot of influencers that have kind of gone into acting just because of all of the amazing connections that you can make being an influencer. And like, my manager is amazing as well, and she's always so happy to reach out to different people for me. And through social media I was able to get BBC, and through BBC I was able to get like my first acting role last year. So it all just kind of, I don't know what the word is, it all just sort of,
it's aligning really nicely.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of crossover in the industries for sure.
Amazing.
Which is great for me. Helpful.
You know, a lot of the content that you're posting is performance.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. And a lot of it is chatty content. So people then see like how you are on camera and they're like, oh, maybe she could do some presenting and so on and so on. And it all really is linked and feeds off each other, which is so great. And even through social media, I've been able to get like adverts and stuff, and that's then helped with the acting side. So it's been, really great.
It's really interesting how though, like, you know, thank goodness you took that leap of faith, but it's a nice kind of cocktail of just doing the thing and just put yourself out there and do it, and then really working really hard in the background to maintain that. Yeah. So, I mean, full credit to you. It's like, it's a big shift.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Like, don't get me wrong, like I I kind of hate it when I see like influencers being like, it's the hardest job, like come and do it for a day. I'm like, I can't listen to that, like that. No. But it's time consuming for sure. And there's it's a very up and down career. If you're somebody that likes consistency in your work, I would say avoid social media, because it's not consistent. Like you can have a month and you can have amazing opportunities, you can have amazing brand deals. The highs are incredible, and then the next 2 months your views can go down the drain. You might not get any brand deals, you might just get one, and it's one that's a lower rate, and you might not have any cool opportunities come through, and you're like, oh, this is tough. Like it's really up and down. And I think that's the thing that I have struggled with the most, but also I feel like it's given me such a good foundation for going into the acting world, because that's exactly the same. It's very up and down. You know, you'll book maybe one job out of 100 that you audition for.
Yeah.
And it's similar with social media, you know. You'll maybe you'll be talking to like 10 different brands, but then you'll only get one of those brands come forward and be like, oh, we want to work with you. So it's like, it's so much outreach all the time. You're constantly pushing yourself. And again, my manager is amazing and she's always pushing me and she's just fantastic. I love her. But I'm that sort of person as well. I'm like, I need to do it as well. So I'm messaging people on Instagram and always just trying to put my name out there. The amount of emails I send is concerning. Really? I'm one of those people. I say this to my friends as well that are in the acting world. I'm like, you just need to email people. Like, email them. Yeah. Send out your spotlight. Send out your headshots. Like, what have you got to lose? I'm always email.
Unavoidable.
Yeah. Always ask. Always email.
Yeah.
And put yourself out there and just. I always just like give a little description about myself, some of the jobs that I've done, send my headshots, send links to my BBC stuff, my TikTok, my show reels.
Yeah.
Send it.
And, you know, it's very bold and, you know, it's essential, but it's also bold to put yourself out there like that. And, you know, amazing when you see the results, of course. And of course, I mean, we can see the results. We just need to scroll through your feed to see how well you're doing. How do you kind of prepare yourself for because you said it yourself, sometimes rejection is inevitable in these situations. How, you know, just thinking about maybe advice for someone listening who is thinking about potentially more the acting side of things actually, but, you know, pushing themselves out there, auditioning, laying themselves bare and going, take me please, I want this job. And maybe they won't get it or they've got some rejection to deal with. What would you advise? It's
hard. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, I think some people are better dealing with it than others. Rejection's tricky. Only last week I can't say what it was for, but I'd been auditioning for something for weeks. I ended up getting to the final round. I was honestly like manifesting for this job every day. I was putting so much energy into it. I was so hungry for it. I wanted it so badly. And I found out on Friday that I didn't get it. And it knocked me. Some knock you more than others. Like that one really knocked me. I was, crying. I really felt it. Like it was really tough. What I would say though is, and what helps me through those moments is just knowing that there is a plan and the universe has a plan for you. And it is hard to see it in that moment, but you've not got that because something else is coming. Like something else is around the corner that's going to be better and more suited to you. That's what I personally have to believe, because otherwise I would be crying still.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's so hard when you put your all into something and you work really, really hard. But the benefits of you putting that work in are still going to be, you know, you're still taking that through to the next thing.
You have to try and look at the positives from the situation. You know, I learned a lot in that audition process and the chemistry reads and stuff like that. I learned a lot, which is great. And I can take that onto the next job. And I also think I'm really bad at this, but trying to be proud of yourself. Again, I don't really know how much I can talk about on it, but there was a lot of applications for this job, a lot. And where I managed to get to in that process was really, like, it was really something to be proud of. Yeah. Can't say I am because I do struggle with it, but you need to try and look at the positives and try and be proud of yourself. I'm not great at it, but you need to try and be.
I mean, you're in the trenches with it right now because you're just processing it, you know?
Yeah, and I think you've
maybe
got
in a couple of weeks you'll be like,
yeah, you've got to allow yourself to process it as well. Like, don't be hard on yourself just because you've had rejection.
Yeah.
And you're struggling with it and you're crying and you're letting it out. Let it out. Don't beat yourself up about it. You've got to process it. And once you've processed it and you work through it, you'll be fine and you'll move on. And those horrible feelings and the sadness and the anger will pass and you'll go on to the next thing and it will be absolutely fine. But just allow yourself to feel how you're feeling. Again, not the best at that. On the Saturday I was like, I really need, I need to give myself a shake. Like, and my mom again was saying to me,
I love her. She sounds amazing.
My mom is
amazing,
an icon. She's the best.
Yes.
And she's like, just let yourself feel it. Let out the tears, and then you can move past it. If you keep it all in, it's just gonna take longer for you to get over it. So just let it out, process it, and then you can move on to the next thing, and you can get up the following day and, I don't know, be motivated.
Yeah.
Go for a walk.
But really good advice, and really important to hear that it is okay to take the time you need to process something.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be upset because you put a lot of work into it.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean as well, I think, it doesn't mean that you're not cut out for the industry if you get upset with rejection. Like, it doesn't mean that you're not cut out for it. It just means that you care. And it means so much to you. It doesn't mean that you're not, you don't have to question whether, oh no, like, am I going to be able to do this? If you want it badly enough, of course you can. It's natural to be upset when you've worked for something and you don't get it. It's like anyone that goes for a job and they don't get it. It's natural to be disappointed and angry. I mean, for me, I'm like, I go through like the crying stage and then I'm like, anger, but it passes and
then
fine.
You'll send some really strongly worded emails to other people and get another opportunity that will be even better.
Yes, and I may or may not have already done that.
Oh, brilliant. I'm so pleased. I'm going to send you some stuff to proofread if that's okay. I want to know how you're doing these emails because I need to be more like this. Really valuable advice, Maddie. Thank you so much. And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing today as well. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, of course.
And thank you to everyone who's tuned in for listening today. Remember, if you need help or support with how you're feeling, Young Scot has tons of information for you at young.scot/AyeFeel. That's young.scot/AyeFeel. If you want to follow Maddie's work, then make sure that you are getting involved and seeing all her amazing content over on Instagram and TikTok using @MaddieHill. Yes?
Yes.
I want to make sure it's right. I'm always like, is this okay?
Yeah.
Maddie Hill. Now, don't forget, if you're under 26, then make sure to get your free Young Scot National Entitlement Card with thousands of discounts in Scotland and across Europe, subsidised public transport, and a whole lot more. Visit young.scot/card for more info. Finally, Young Scot members can claim 100 reward points for listening to this episode by visiting Young Scot membership and typing in makeup for your points code. If you're not a member yet, visit young.scot/membership to get started today and earn points for activities and access exciting rewards. So that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of This Is How I Feel. And if you have, then please rate, review and subscribe to us, which means you'll have instant access as soon as the next episode drops. Looking forward to next time already.